to all of us. However, we cannot deliver on this noble mandate if we are not at peace. This requires all to ensure that peace prevails across the country. The responsibility comes with a lot of challenges. We must work are all expected to participate. Ladies and gentlemen, I encourage the parties to for a political democratic South Sudan. It is also the only way for socio-economic recovery and prosperity for our people. There is no need to engage in a that destroy our country and harm our people. We are establishing South Sudan as a democratic country. Who wants to be president the right to organize their party fully. Finally, I wish you deliberations, and I declare this seventh governors forum open. May God bless you, and thank you very much.
Yeah, we may have a sit for next steps as His Excellency the First Vice President is escorting the President and the Vice Presidents. So let us wait for the next item. Now, His Excellency Dr. and the deliberation will continue. Please, may we arise to receive His Excellency the First.
Assalamu alaikum. We resume our. So we listen to that we're supposed to be the keys, please. The Secretary or the Master of Ceremonies. Yes. Okay, Jamaat. You go ahead.
Okay, we would like to call upon Honorable Emmanuel Adil, Governor of Central Equatoria State, to give his welcome remarks. Honorable Adil, you are welcome to give your remarks. Oh, okay. Welcome. Welcome.
Your Excellency, Dr. Yagma Charteng, the first Vice President of the Republic and the Chair of the Governance Cluster. Your Excellencies, Vice Presidents present here, Right Honorable Deng Akon, Speaker of the Council of States, the Honorable Presidential Advisors, Honorable National Ministers, Your Excellency, allow me introduce my colleagues, the governors, administrative areas in a special way because they have come a long way from the states with their delegations. And with their permission, Your Excellency, in this gathering, we have General Ring Tweng Mabordeng, Governor of Lake State, with the delegation package. Deputy Governor Ayong Awerlual, the Deputy Governor of Upper Nile State, with a delegation from Upper Nile State. The state representing Governor Putio, if they are there, thank you, the ministers. Lastly, Your Excellency, in the states we have delegation of Central Equatoria led by myself, my deputy, and some of the ministers present here. To the administrative areas, we have Dr. Chol Deng Alak, the administrator of Abia administrative area, and his delegation. We have locally Bulen, the administrator of Pibor administrative area, and the delegation from Pibor. We have Stepano Wiu, area. Your Excellency, Nicola Hyson, Special Ambassador Ismail Y, Special Representative, Special Envoy of IGAD to South Sudan, members of the Diplomatic Corps, Major General Charles Tai Gitau, the Chair of Arajemic, Dr. Samuel Gadwe Do, the UN Resident Representative, Right Honorable Speakers and of State Parliaments, Honorable State Ministers, representatives of the diplomatic partners and members of the media fraternity, representatives of the civil society organizations, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's with great joy and humility that I cordially welcome you, Your Excellencies, and honorable distinguished guests to the city of Juba, and extend to you the well wishes and warm compliments of the people and the government of Central Equatoria State. As you spend your days here, feel free and enjoy the hospitality of the people in Juba. I take this opportunity, Your Excellency, to request this forum once again to congratulate our commander on assuming the chairmanship of East Africa Community This further present an opportunity for him to extend his commitment in consolidating regional integration, peace, and prosperity. For this reason, let us give a round of applause to His Excellency President Salva Kiir. And therefore, let us all pledge our full support to His Excellency the President as the chairman of the East Africa Community in his endeavors to contribute towards the transformation of the region. I would like this opportunity to thank you, Excellency, for convening the 7 Governors Forum that seeks to foster national cohesion and peaceful transition to democratic governance. I further extend my gratitude for all the efforts you have exerted in establishing institutions that are central to the conduct of upcoming elections and the ongoing deployment of the necessary unified forces. As we count on the efforts as a government, and in order to overcome the challenges that South Sudanese community are facing and are waiting and anticipating for our intervention as a government, we have an obligation in this forum to renew our commitment to deliver the prerequisite of lasting peace, security, and economic stabilization. This particular governance forum should signify a shift from our past to end the year 2023 and mark it as the year of the dawn of hope for lasting peace. I therefore salute all of us and urge all of us to pledge our to the deliberations and sharing of knowledge, experience, and expertise that shall provide responsive governance in our various states and administrative areas. Your Excellency, the President, in his sincerely thank him and thank the entire government for maintaining peace and he has stood steadfast as the strongest pillar of peace. Because of his profound stewardship, we have seen Afar moving towards it. And we pray that let him continue to show us the right path that takes us confidently in peace and prosperity. I would like to conclude that I thank His Excellency the President for prioritizing roads as key ingredients for peace, building and economic transformation of the country. Equally, I want to pronounce to you the message of congratulations from the people and the government of Central Equatorial State and South Sudan at large for the construction of Juba Baragazal, or Mundri Yambio Tombra Wow, Juba Kanya Ye Kaya Roads, to mention a few. I sincerely appeal to the national government, institution concerned, for the completion of the implementation of these roads, because, Your Excellency, they are vital for peace building, return of our returnees, people who are in the refugees, to boost trade and production and security stabilization, among others. In conclusion, Your Excellency, we are convinced that the platform you have convened for us as state governors and administrators has commenced at a time to prepare all our levels of government to transition to governance in peace. And thank you all for listening. God bless all of us. Thank you.
You see, we are going to continue with the opening remarks. Without much ado, Dr. Samuel Doe, the UNDP resident representative, to come and give us his opening remarks.
I'm here to deliver the remarks of Dr. Samuel Doe, who had to travel this afternoon. Your Excellency Dr. Riek Machar, Vice President. Your Excellency Dr. Wani Ig, Vice President of Economic Development. Your Excellency Abdul Bagi Ayi Akol, Vice President for Service Cluster. Your Excellency Tabande Kai, Vice President for Infrastructure. Your Excellency Rebecca Nyandeg D. Mabior, Vice President for Gender and Youth. Esteemed governors and heads of the administrative areas, national and state ministers and senior government officials, excellent members of the diplomatic community, the UN Special Representatives of the Secretary General in South Sudan, and heads of UN agencies, members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I'm deeply honored and privileged on behalf of the United Nations Development Programme, governors for, under the leadership of His Excellency, the President of the Republic of the South Sudan, General Salva Kiir Mayardit. This forum, which has become a commendable governance practice in South Sudan, is a crucial platform of cooperation and development and fosters communication between the national and state governments. The 7th Governors Forum builds on the last two that have been held under the revitalized peace agreement period and provides an avenue to form on pathways for its effective implementation. Mr. Vice President, Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the 7th Governors Forum takes place in a significantly challenged national, regional, and global environment. The war in Ukraine is now compounded with renewed hostilities in the Middle East, closer home. Sudan's military confrontation is fast transforming into a civil war. Return of South Sudanese who remained in Sudan and an increase in the number. On the national stage, humanitarian assistance, which provides life-saving needs for a large portion of our people affected by floods, communal violence has suffered reductions. At the same time, the country is preparing for its first general election in December 2024. Against this background, this year's forum will focus on 3 critical governance issues. First, it will review the status of intergovernmental relations between the national and state governments for strengthened accountability. The forum provides a platform for the 10 governors and the 3 chief administrators to interact with His Excellency, the Vice President, and the national government on a range of policy issues, including public finance management, disbursement and use of budgetary allocations, interaction between line ministries and governors, and chief administrators and chief administrators for effective delivery. Tax administration between national and state governments, and policy clarity, and horizontal interaction between and among states and administrative areas. A key aspect is the state and administrative area reports on the implementation of the resolution of the 6th Governors Forum and how this impacted the lives of people. We are all eagerly looking forward to the resolution's progress reports from last year, which will serve as a basis for an exchange of learning, successes, and challenges. Secondly, Mr. Vice President, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the 7th Governors Forum provides an opportunity for governors and administrators to deliberate on their role in getting the country ready for its first general elections, with a focus on guaranteeing free movement and civil space as well as security throughout the electoral process. With the ratification of the Elections Act and reconstitution of key election management bodies, the Political Parties Council and National Elections Commission, the establishment and operationalization of state high committees to facilitate the work of the Electoral Commission is the next key step. This will be made possible with the unwavering support of governors and chief administrators and will significantly determine South Sudan's ability to successfully conduct its first general elections across the country. We therefore look forward to informative and constructive engagement between the national and state governments to pave the way for elections, constitution making, transitional justice, political milestones, democratic transition. The forum takes place when the country is dealing with an influx of returnees from the Sudan crisis, worsening the suffering sustainable. Serves as accountability. Importantly, nurse like and key it out UNDP ourselves that and and cure
moderator. Malo, I'm the acting resident coordinator and also the representative of the Food and Agriculture Organization. Congratulate the people of South Sudan and the President for taking up the chairmanship of the East. As the President did request, I want to confirm support of discussion. Because I know that other speakers will also have the opportunity to do so. One is the broader definition of the term national cohesion. We pray as your partners, as your friends, that national cohesion is interpreted in the whole sense of the nation South Sudan. It is not interpreted among the people, among the youth, among the women as the different states. I say this from experience because we begin to see at times when we have our own staff moved to other stations that there is some form of resistance. But we want and we believe that the governors hold the key to ensure that the national cohesion is a national cohesion. That anyone, anybody can be anywhere from Abyei to Eastern Equatorial to Malakal to that. We believe that this is an important aspect of national cohesion, that together we move as South Sudan. The second is that we find ourselves at a difficult time with a number of challenges, some that my colleague from UNDP has already mentioned. We have the challenge of Sudan, Gaza, Israel, climate change that make a bad situation worse. So we'll have to put deliberate effort, especially at the state, county, Payam level, to ensure that we secure our communities there. And as my friend, the Honorable Governor of Central Equatoria has talked about the roads, I think with those smooth roads, we also have to ensure that the bureaucracies that stop goods and services from moving unnecessarily are reduced, because those have a huge impact on food prices. At the end of the day, that person at the Payam will pay for every other cost along that way. So we do compliment the efforts made, but we do believe that the Governors Forum has a lot of power to ensure that free movement of both goods, services, and people between and within the various states. God bless all of you. Thank you.
Your Excellency, we continue with the opening speeches, and I would like to call upon His Excellency Nicholas Haysom, a special representative of the Secretary General, UN Mission in South Sudan.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Dr. Riek Machar, First Vice President of the Republic, and the other Vice Presidents, Honourable Speaker and Deputy Speakers, Governors and Chief Administrators, Ministers and Deputy Ministers, Members of Parliament and the Council of States, traditional leaders and representatives of civil society organisations, Excellencies and distinguished guests. I'm honoured to address the opening of this annual Governors Forum once again, and I look forward to hearing your feedback on how the actions taken at last year's conference have advanced the revitalised agreement specifically and good governance generally. At the outset, let me join other speakers in congratulating both President Kiir and the people of Sudan for Sudan's assumption of the chairpersonship of the East African Community. UNMISS hopes that this week's forum will offer a platform for problem solving on the challenges that you face before you as a nation as you enter your final year of your transition. We think it's important to take advantage of your collective presence here in Juba to discuss a united approach on the consolidation of peace and stability in the remaining transitional period. UNMISS remains concerned that the basic human security needs of South Sudanese citizens are unmet in many parts of the country, particularly outside Juba. Civilians are bearing the brunt of intercommunal violence, and this is prolonging the humanitarian emergency in South Sudan, one that has been made a lot worse by the conflict in Sudan to the north, as well as the impacts of climate change and an overall reduced pool of humanitarian assistance. I wish to welcome the recent deployment of the necessary unified forces to Upper Nile State, and I note the strong expectation of citizens that there will be further deployment, a further deployment which would hope to improve the security and build the required foundation for a conducive electoral environment. I reaffirm the support of UNMISS to the Transitional Government of National Unity as it carries out its responsibility to protect its civilians in South Sudan. I share the concern of all the governors and chief administrators over the continued proliferation of arms. Some of you were able to implement partial disarmament in your states in line with the recommendations you had issued at the last meeting in November 2022. UNMISS supports your calls for a comprehensive national program for peaceful disarmament, demobilization, and reintegration. We would further encourage you to consider community violence reduction initiatives. These initiatives foster inclusive economic growth around productive activities that generate livelihoods, that remove the incentives for conflict, and contributes to the reconstruction and rebuilding of communities. Similarly, I would back the call for the full implementation of the suite of resolutions from the 2022 National Livestock Conference on Cattle and Migration-related conflicts, which we think provided an excellent blueprint for national cooperation on longer-term solutions for this real and serious conflict driver. Addressing all these challenges requires coordinated intervention from the national and subnational levels. And I want to emphasize the role of governors and chief administrators as a connecting force between the national and the local. UNMISS has been proud to partner with you in many joint efforts. These include bringing communities together to resolve the conflicts which divide them, increasing safe access to agricultural land through mine action services, supporting the construction of roads, schools, and health facilities, increasing the meaningful participation of women in political life, mitigating the impacts of climate change, such as flooding, and in supporting the delivery of humanitarian aid. In that regard, I'm pleased to share that in 2024, UNMISS will be implementing 70 quick impact projects across 10 states to support the protection of citizens as well as the delivery of public services and local infrastructure. We particularly appreciate the constructive role of governors in addressing the plight of returnees and refugees from Sudan and Ethiopia, and call for increased cooperation on humanitarian and social protection in the northern border areas. Excellencies, UNMISS places a premium on the role of governors and chief administrators in exercising political leadership to promote harmony, unity, and peaceful coexistence, including through consistent presence of yourselves and your government in your respective jurisdictions. Completing the final leg of South Sudan's transitional period requires strong partnerships between the national and subnational levels of government, strong strategic partnerships with the international community, and partnerships with local communities and civil society, particularly in engaging in critical policy decisions on good governance and service delivery. There's now a great sense of urgency to accelerate these conversations so that South Sudan is well positioned for its forthcoming electoral process, including to ensure there is sufficient political and civic space for a process that will ground South Sudanese in a process which is nation building as opposed to deepening divisions. In conclusion, I join in supporting your efforts to deliver public services, to maintain your presence and accessibility in your jurisdictions, and for your championship of the protection of civilians. UNMISS will continue to jointly work with you to foster a peaceful transition to a democratic governance underscored by the credible elections you face in just over a year's time. With that, I thank you and wish you fruitful deliberations.
Your Excellency, we are continuing still with the opening remarks, and I'm calling upon Right Honorable Jemanu Nukumba, the Speaker of the TNLA. Okay, welcome.
I will say something, Doc. His Excellency Dr. Riek Machar Teny, First Vice President of the Republic, His Excellency Dr. James Wani Iga, Vice President of the Republic, Chair of Economic Cluster, His Excellency Hussein Abdel Baghi Akol, Vice President, Chair of Service Cluster, Honorable Advisor to the President, Honorable Ministers, His Excellency the Governors and Chief Administrators, Honorable Members of the Cumulative Corps, Honorable Members of State and National Assemblies, good morning. It is my pleasure to stand before you today. Was not ready, according to the program that I have on my table, that my remark has been scheduled to be on the closing remark. But last day, as to deliver on closing remarks. Your Excellency, I'm seeing this is not fair. What we are discussing here today is about the governance in which the Council of State has the oversight role over the state and the governors. I want, Your Excellency, to report on many things, because what we are discussing here today, it is about the success and progress and achievements of the governors and administrative and chief administrative areas. But that one thing is missing in this. Your Excellency, we had never have a chance to report or to address the failures of the governors in their states. So I therefore requesting this forum to give the Council of States a chance to present during the presentation, because in the Council of States we have a lot of reports from the different states, that because the state assemblies, Your Excellency, they are not functioning and they are not doing their oversight role. It is because of the conflict between the state assemblies and the Honorable or Excellency the governors. I therefore requesting the Council of State to be given a chance in coming days to have their report or presentation, since we are now discussing about the progress on and the achievement of the excellencies, the governors. I will not talk much because the complaint that I raised and the space that was given to me today, it is not my space. I'm only representing the Speaker of TNLA, Right Honorable Jim Anunu Kumba. And I got the chance to raise my concerns. I have been talking before with Honorable former Minister of Presidential Affairs that the Council of State was supposed to be given a chance to present or to make their presentations during the delivering of the states or the different ministries. Thank you.
Your Excellency, we have come to the end of the opening remarks, and with your permission, we can move to the next program, which is the reports. Okay, thank you. Okay, I would like to thank all the speakers who have given us the opening remarks, wishing this forum fruitful deliberations. Now we move to the next session, which is reports, progress reports of the 6th Governors Forum resolutions. So I'm calling upon Mr. Michael Majok Agar, the Director General, Directorate for Decentralized. Okay then. Okay, thank you then. So, you first. Okay, we are going to hear the opening remarks from Vice President Hussein Abdulbari, the chairperson for the service cluster. You're most welcome. Oh my goodness.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wabihi Nista'in. Your Excellency, Salva Kiir Mayardit, President of the Republic of South Sudan, Your Excellency, Dr. Riek Machar Teng, First Vice President of the Republic of South Sudan, Your Excellencies, Vice President of the Republic of South Sudan, Honorable, Right Honorable Nunu Jema Kamba, Speaker of Revitalized Transitional National Assembly Legislation, Honorable Deng Deng Akon, Speaker of the Revitalized Council of States, National Ministers present, the governors of the states, and the administrator of the administrators area, religious leaders and society, Your Excellencies, Your Excellency Nicola Hasham, a special representative of the Secretary General, Your Excellency, IGAD representative of the Republic of South Sudan, Ambassador General Charles Gauthier, interim chair of RGMEC, representative of various UN organizations, members of diplomatic corps, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamu alaikum. First and foremost, I would like to congratulate the President of the Republic for winning the trust of the leaders of East African community to chair this round. Today is yet another important day for us all, the government, the civil society, peace granters and monitors, to reflect not only on the progress made and the challenges facing implementation of revitalized agreement on the resolution of the conflict in the Republic of South Sudan, but to focus on the end game of the peace agreement, while they emphasize should dwell on the implementation of the roadmap, which should lead to the completion of the remaining provision of the RRCs. I must remind all of us that we are behind timeline specified to complete the task. The first and the most important of these remaining provision is the security arrangement in Chapter 2 of the RRCs. On security arrangement, the Artigono has made progress in graduation of the forces and has commissioned and deployed some of the graduated forces to the areas of insecurity, for example, to a net where the Twitch and Ngok brothers are fighting on the ownership of a net. Recently, the government deployed more forces, as you may have learned. The deployment will reduce intercommunal violence, cattle rustling, revenge-related violence across the country, and restore rule of law and security. Although the progress is being made in the implementing the remaining activities in accordance to the timeline, to the timetable of the roadmap, certain right must be exercised in preparation for election at the end of transitional period. Otherwise, the country might risk returning to square zero, undermining progress achieved. This annual 7 Governors Forum focuses on intergovernmental relations and accountability for better services delivered to our rural and urban population, conduct a peaceful election for a peaceful democratic transition for suitable stability, major challenges of the IDPs, South Sudanese refugees in the neighboring countries, and Sudanese refugees in South Sudan. In addition, the forum aimed at finding ways of resolving inter-state and inter-state conflict and dispute. To unpack these issues, allow me to remark on each of the above briefly and hopefully constructively. To begin with, I am going to citing time again and again our transitional constitution 2011 has amended 2023 is clearly enlightened as that the administration of the decentralization system of governance, the following principles of intergovernmental linkages shall be observed. The linkage between the national government and the local government shall be through the government of the relevant states. In their relations with each other or with other government organs, all levels of government shall observe the following: respect each other's powers and competence, and in collaboration in the task of governance, of governing, and assist each other in fulfilling their respective constitutional obligation. The government organs at all levels shall perform their function and exercise their powers so as not to encroach on the assumed powers or function conferred upon any other level except as provided for in the Constitution. If we use the Constitution in our respective jurisdiction and assignment, the question of the intergovernmental relation shall not become an issue at all, as this matter is catered for in the transitional constitution of the Republic. By the same token, the transitional constitution is vocal. The question of the transparency and accountability at all levels, at all governments levels. The Article 183 accept accounting procedures start and fiscal accountability to ensure that the public funds are allocated and expanded according to the budget of the respective levels of government. All the levels of government shall hold all income and revenue received in public account and subject to the public scrutiny and accountability, and the accounting procedures shall standards and the fiscal accountability shall be regulated by law. Whereas services delivered and the development is key role of any government. We continue to do our best under the current economic situation. There is no doubt that our people will expect more services delivered and development from us, and they are right. We can only fully deliver services at all levels if our economy has stabilized. South Sudan is a democratic country, striving to be its own the best example. But what is a conventional democracy is the world knows it. We can view democracy as a political system in which ideological and social different groups are legally entitled to compete for the political powers, and in which transitional powers holders are elected by the people and responsible for the people. Though we must abide by the transitional constitution provisions such as the Article 24, 25, 26, 27, and media, freedom of assembly and association, right of participation and voting, and freedom of movement and residence, respectively. The transitional constitution stipulates that the national government shall, during the transitional period, conduct population census, the outcome of which shall inter alia determine the numbers of electoral constituency for the next general election. As things stand, we have not been able to put in place adequate preparation for election, including conduct of population census. In the light of urgency and the needs of the Charter, the way forward, it is paramount that the parties to the RRCs convene an urgent dialogue to agree on how to realize successful conclusion of the peaceful agreement. On the way to address issues related with the IDPs across the country, the return of the South Sudanese refugees from the neighboring countries, the influx of Sudanese refugees into South Sudan could be reached after the convincing dialogue. We are mindful of our own efforts so far to help refugees from Sudan to South Sudan. We thank His Excellency President Salva Kiir for his tireless efforts in seeking the diplomatic efforts with the link-minded leaders in the region and among the international community to resolve the conflict raging in the Sudan. President Salva is to be commended also for making use of the country ties with the international community to supply food to the Sudanese refugees in South Sudan. As a case in the point is the recent humanitarian intervention from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, which helped the Sudanese refugees with food items. Other countries like Troika have also helped considerably to enhance the government effort. We are grateful to them. The security situation in the country has improved significantly throughout this year. The concern now is the situation between Dinkan, Twitch, and Ngok Sicily communities, which are still fighting each other despite effort by the national government to end the violence there. In this regard, we must appreciate the President of the Republic for his relentless attempt to resolve the problem of the two communities. You will recall that at the beginning of the conflict, His Excellency President Salva Kiir formed a highly level committee led by myself. That committee spent months of thoroughly investigation into what transpired and caused violence between the two communities. You will recall also that the committee, after that, has completed its reports and submitted to His Excellency Salva Kiir Mayardit. Your Excellency, since we submitted the report, we have been bothered most of the time by questions from South Sudanese. They ask us, will the President implement the recommendation of the committee? Our answer to them has always been, you cannot cross the bridge before you reach there. In the other words, we cannot preempt whether or not Your Excellency will act. In order to arrest insecurity and to prevent further bloodshed, it is highly time for Your Excellency to revisit the Net Investigation Committee report and other related reports like that of Council of States, and then see how best of the implementation to implement and the recommendation. This is crucial because the country is soon heading for election, and security is paramount between dual communities elsewhere in the country. Finally, I wish to reiterate the importance of working collegially as a unity government so that we can deliver services to our needy population across the nation. Whenever there are differences, let us use dialogue to enhance understanding, and teamwork. Again, I hope that by the end of this forum, we will reach actionable resolution that will assist us to the better implementation of the remaining provision of the roadmap and to be ready for the phase after the end of the transitional period. Thank you very much.
We thank His Excellency, the Vice President Hussein Abdelbaki, the Chairperson for the Service Cluster, for for his very informative and insightful remarks. Can we give him a round of applause, please? Can you make it better? Thank you, thank you. Now we call upon His Excellency, the Vice President and Chairperson of the Economic Cluster, His Excellency Dr. Wani Iga. You are most welcome to give us your remarks.
Your Excellency, the First Vice President, Dr. Riek Machar, Your Excellency, the Vice President and Chair of the Service Cluster, Hussein Abdul Bagi Akol, the Right Honorable Speaker of the Council of States, Honorable Advisors, Honorable Ministers and Deputy Ministers, Your Excellencies, the State Governors, the chairpersons of commissions, members of the Diplomatic Corps, honorable members of the Parliament, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon to all of you. Assalamu alaikum. I congratulate His Excellency the President of the Republic for successful taking over the torch and the plaque of the East African community. Once more, that has made the entire nation of South Sudan work with heads up. Bravo to South Sudan. I congratulate His Excellency the President of the Republic for convening this historic forum of the governors. I also thank the governors of our states and administrative areas for their prompt response to this call that encompasses important theme of fostering national cohesion and peaceful transition to democratic governance. I believe the four objectives enumerated by the organizers are comprehensive enough for us to tackle the challenges facing South Sudan. It is realistic that such a forum should first review and evaluate what it has implemented from the last resolutions of the 6 Governors Forum. This will enable us to measure what achievements we have made during the last 12 months, what challenges we have encountered within the same period. This is to avoid repeating ourselves on the same topic and substance. Your Excellencies, our peace at this juncture can only be anchored through our conscious will to execute the revitalized peace agreement. I believe in this regard that we have moved a great deal, but should double up to ensure that the parts of the roadmap and our understanding are majorly put into action. And first Vice President, along other actors, for commencing deployment of the unified forces. Will no doubt mark a satisfactory progress towards peace and stability. Peace is indeed compromised should the government have equal fire volume with the governed subjects, with the civilians. We must therefore disarm and put disarmament as number one priority, in as much as it alone dangerously threatens our delicate stability and security. Without ensured security, nothing else can be done, including investment, social services, and economic development. On the economic front, where I hail from, economic cluster, I would first like to commend His Excellency the President, and particularly the Minister of Finance, as part of our economic cluster, and all units involved, for duly implementing the 400% salary and wage increment. Nevertheless, clearly, the revenue being collected so far is falling short, compared to our efforts to pay timely and regularly all the categories of our public service. This, of course, presupposes that additional determined energy to dig out further resources, liquidity. Though I still believe that we haven't yet exhausted, actually, all the avenues in our hands to cover up the deficit payments I alluded to. As a matter of fact, we must step up transparency and accountability in all our offices. Services, including investments, are being frustrated by a new disease called Kitu Gidogo, or 10% per every service rendered. Kalamde Saabsoya. This is too ugly and must be combated tooth and nail by all authorities at all levels and across the board, via strictly penalizing all known culprits. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, the realization of peace in our country, in our nation, needs a certain degree of political prudence and will. We must now frame a future which lays the foundation of happiness of our people by concentrating and redressing people, regardless of their nationalities and natural diversities. I mean, we must have consolidated unity, for that matter is imperative. We must tackle any tiny turmoil or subversive activities prior to becoming a mountain or calamity. This will be grounded on the usual political wisdom and moral vision of our top leadership. The very essence of the SPLM revolution was to ensure variety of freedoms. And this is freedom from poverty, freedom from misery, and of course, a harmonious society. We must own the mastery of reason and negotiations in order to maintain peace by all costs. Fundamentally, our goal will have to have peace, and that peace must be based on democratic practice and adherence. Fostering and respect to human rights and dignity. We may require to enter into new history, but the one written by peace. Any stain of violence leading to shedding of the fresh blood of our people must be eliminated. I believe that justice and peace can only thrive together, never apart. This is the key target to vanquish poverty, ignorance, and disease is now. Indispensably, we must focus on improving the conditions of the individual youth and individual, eradicating poverty, preventing conflict, and promoting democracy. Only in a world that is rid of poverty can all men and women make the most of their abilities. Only where individual rights are respected can differences be channeled politically and resolved peacefully. Only in a democratic environment based on respect for diversity and dialogue can individual self-experience and self-government be guaranteed and freedom of association be upheld. On their part, civil society should embrace not only their rights, but also know their responsibilities and obligations. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good luck to this remarkable forum. Let the Almighty bless South Sudan. وشكرا جزيلا.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for your words of guidance and wisdom. Can we put our hands together for him, please? Thank you. Thank you. Your Excellency, we move to the next program. Okay, thank you. Okay. Now we move to our program of progress, report on progress of the 6th Governors Forum resolutions. Now I call upon Mr. Michael Majokagar, the Director General, Directorate for Decentralization and Intergovernmental Relations, Ministry of Presidential Affairs. You're most welcome.
His Excellency General Salva Kiir Mayardit, President of the Republic of South Sudan, and the Chairman of East African Community, stroke Chairman of the Governors Forum, His Excellency Dr. Riek Machar Tany, co-chair of the Governors Forum and chairman of cluster, of governance cluster. His Excellency Dr. James Wanega, chairperson of economic cluster. His Excellency Vice President Hussein Abdelbagi, Chairman of the Services Cluster. His Excellencies Jimmy Nunukumba, National Right Honorable Speaker of TNLA. He is Right Honorable Deng Akon, Speaker of Council of States. Honorable Presidential Advisors present, Honorable National Ministers, His Excellencies, the Governors of the various states and area administrative councils. All the protocol observed. The presentation of the progress report for the 6th Governors Forum is summarized this way. And first and foremost, let me apologize to the 2 states that have not been covered due to unforeseen circumstances. And this is Warab states during the assessment, during the or follow-up implementation resolutions. That is Warab states and Pibor administrative areas. However, we were able to get information from these areas through our own efforts here, and we also took note of it. The report of 6th Governors Forum is a summary that I have here, of which the details of it are in your portfolio. The security sector has made progress in implementing the RS Stroke Roadmap 2022, with the state governments and administrative entities working collaboratively. Intercommunal peace dialogues and conflict resolution initiatives are ongoing at both national and subnational levels. The national government continues to call on the UN Security Council and friendly countries for support to lift the arms embargo on South Sudan to facilitate peace and security. The development of the necessary unified forces began this month with the first batch of 800 military personnel assigned to Malakal. Next is a 400% salary increment for organized forces and civil servants was passed by the TNLA and is currently being implemented. Our next point is disarmament efforts have been initiated in several states, pending the enactment of the Civil Population Disarmament Bill. Training on a small arms training arms control and disarmament is provided by the national government with the UNDP and UNAMIS support and the partners. Return and integration programs for internally displaced persons and refugees are also ongoing, supported by the humanitarian partners. Intercommunal Peace Forum, transhuman conferences, and ongoing dialogue between conflicting communities facilitated by the state governments and partners are contributing to conflict resolution efforts. Community violence reduction programs and annual farmer header dialogues have been initiated and or strengthened in various states across the country. Notwithstanding challenges to improve political engagement and civic space with the government civilian UNAMIS. Overall, the collaborative efforts on the government, partners, and local communities reflect a comprehensive priority. NRA has implemented various measures to increase customs revenues, including training on the local revenue mobilization strategy, enhancing resource mobilization, and promoting investment in various states. However, challenges remain, such as the lack of legislation for taxation management, multiple taxes collection units, increased commodity prices due to multiple taxes, and unauthorized checkpoints by security forces. In the agriculture sector, initiatives have been implemented to support local communities, such as financial aid to cooperative societies, seedling provision, and agricultural inputs. The Youth Enterprises and Capacity Development Program, a UNDP and African Development Bank partnership has facilitated capacity building and business development services for micro and small enterprises, benefiting 3,862 MSE across 5 states. Coming to cooperatives, 70 cooperative societies have been registered in the states, receiving support from FAO, WFP, and World Vision, among other partners. Financing facilities, including zero-interest revolving fund loans, were established with the banks to support youth-led enterprises and cooperatives. The National Ministry of Finance and Planning secured a commitment from the World Bank for biometric system, highlighting the commitment to technological advancement in financial process. Basic services have also seen significant progress through collaboration between government and partners. The Ministry of Health implemented preventive measures, including surveillance, laboratory support, risk communication, and rapid response. The COVID-19 response saw improved capacity of vaccinators and supporters, training and deployment of public health officers, and distribution of vaccination kits. UNDP supported radio talk shows, health promotion, and digitalization of the COVID-19 call center. The Ministry of Livestock and Fisheries collaborated with the FAO to vaccinate over 6 million animals against priority diseases and treat over 1 million animals against major diseases. The ministry has also trained 530 community animal health workers for service delivery at the community level. Collaboration with the 22 youth and women agri-business groups has improved fodder production and pen fattening, land conditioning for small ruminants. Now, the Ministry of Public Service has developed a skill audit manual to evaluate civil service qualification and skills, while the Civil Service Commission is developing regulatory framework and updating the recruitment policies for staff development. The government has introduced legislation to raise minimum age of marriage and strengthen enforcement mechanism. A strategic national plan on ending child marriage with the support of UNFPA and other partners to ensure improved development of basic services going forward. Southern Sudan must address several challenges, including integrating COVID-19 vaccination into broader health services, addressing gaps in preparedness and readiness activities, and ensuring high-level advocacy to ensure cattle owned by profile government officials respect local mechanism. So this is the summary of the report on the field. So if you want to get details, you have all this report in your bags. Thank you very much. Thank you, Johan.
Well, thank you, Michael. Now we're supposed to be discussing this report on progress of the 6 Governors Forum resolutions. And if there are any interventions, questions, and particularly from the governors, we can start. Yes, Governor Sarah.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I recognize your presence and the presence of the other Vice Presidents, Right Honorable Speaker of the Council of States, all the protocols observed. Yeah, we have received a copy of this progress report, and I have already made my comments earlier today to Michael and the team that worked on it. But I feel there are certain important points that are not included, even if it's summary. One of my complaints is that there was no example of any of the successes in Western Bahr el Ghazal, and I've seen also other states. And anyone who reads this report will think that Western Bahr el Ghazal did not do anything. But I know with my team we have worked day and night to produce our progress report. There's a lot that is being mentioned in the general summary, but there's no specific examples like some examples in other states. So I want to appeal to those who work on it to give examples from each and every state and all the administrative areas about specific things. It doesn't, maybe there is common successes among our states, but it is just mentioning what these states have done in particular to some of the recommendations. As I'm looking at recommendation number 29, data and records of investors in the country to be channeled to the National Ministry of Investment. I say that there's no data available to report, and I believe we have some data on the investors, including that we have for number 31. It also says no data report progress, but we have reported that we have designated a directorate in the Ministry of Finance to look into investment, and together with our partners, the UNDP, we did investment mapping, and we developed an investment guide. So that one should also be included there. Also in terms of employing South Sudanese youth, in number 33, it says data not available, but we have reported employing, training youth with skills, and also employing a number of youth, and the numbers are provided. So these are areas that I think are important to mention because it will also encourage other youth that there is something being done for them as well. So this is just a few areas that I wanted to mention. The other area in number 4 about the implementation of the 400% increase. I believe all the governors will agree with me that this 400% increase for the civil servants is not implemented. And so far, in our state, let me speak about my state, we have the committee there, but the transfer that we have received, or the money that is brought, is not fulfilling the 400% for the civil servants. The committee came to the state, they've been there almost going for 2 weeks, but we are not able to pay our civil servants. So this is an issue that we want really to bring to your attention, and to have the the Minister of Finance look into it. So it is not implemented in terms of the civil servants, to the best of my knowledge, in our state. So these are areas that I want to highlight, but I'm sure there will be more discussion on that 400% increase. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other governor that has, or chief administrator, or any member in the audience? Yes,
Okay, my name is Lopalia Mebodin, Chief Administrator of Greater Bijbor Administrative Area. First, I would like to recognize President of First Vice President, Dr. Yang Machar Teng, and other Vice President who they are present here. To go to the question, really realizing two things. First, in Sikh Governor Forum, we was recommend, especially in Greater Bijbor in Jongule, you support to deploy some forces there to help in difficulties, problem of cattle raiding and child adoption. We was reporting that in Sikh Governors Forum support to deploy some forces in the border. But I read in that resolution, it didn't mention the difficulties, or he didn't make it because of ABC. Second, I concur what the Honorable Sarah Keleto mentioned. We will say that there is a 4% we implement in all, 400% we support we implement in all states. But finally, in other states, the money took it is not enough equivalent what we used to receive. And second, this committee in some area there is a lot of training going on. They still keeping money here. They didn't take to the areas. And third, the money paying this committee, the committee who formed them, the money paying to these people, you should support the money, support to pay employees in the area. But they lose more money for that committee and less to employees who are supposed to pay. We need really to present this in your table because you are chairperson of government clusters, and this is difficulties what we face in all states and 3 administrative areas. Thank you.
Yes, Governor of Jongule.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. Your Excellency, my question is actually been said by my colleague, Lukuriame. It's something that all the states are facing, the issue of security. What happened in the system of our government that the line of security goes from the central government, goes down to the states. Now we often feel that even when the police need to be deployed, or army need to be deployed, or national security need to be deployed, sometimes you have to call the national government, you have to report it, and sometimes we don't get the response as quick as we can use it to stop whatever incident that happened in the states. So this is something that we need to talk about it between the states and the central government. Because if there are emergencies that happens, they need to be resolved quickly, and we don't have the necessary security requirement that we need to stop that, then tomorrow the state should not be blamed. And this is not what we're getting. When something like that happens, the states are the one to get the blame. But we don't have the tool that we need to make sure that we stop that. Number two, Your Excellency, it has been said by two of my colleagues that just spoke. The issue of salary that was increased to 400%. Now, we're hearing that even that 400% is not enough. In the states now, the salary that has been taken there is not enough. Some of the committees that went to some state have just stopped and wait for money from Juba or wait for what is going to be told to them. So now our citizens are getting impatient all over the states. And guess what they are considering? They're considering a strike. And if they do it in one state, that will be nationwide. Tomorrow if that happens, will the blame go to the governors again? That the governors didn't control that? Or the blame would come to the central government? So I think it would be better for us to register that before it happens. Some of the committees now in some of our states, they're just sitting there, they don't know what to do. Sometimes they'll come to some of us, the governors, asking us to direct them what to do. And we tell them, well, your term of reference that you brought from Juba did not mention the governor of the states to have any role on how you're going to pay this salary. So you have to call back to Juba and ask them to direct you what to do or what not to do. So this is how we left them now. And from day to comes, tomorrow, next tomorrow, we don't know what's going to happen. And in the regions, we have seen how protests are always handled. They never end in a very good way. So we think that this is something that should be treated with urgency. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. William Denkor, Minister of Local Government and Law Enforcement Agencies for Warab State. I would like to dispute by saying from the report that Warab State has done nothing, it has done a lot. One of the examples, deployment of security forces has been done across the community borders that are in conflict as we speak per now, which has one of the things that has been discussed since last year in the Governors Forum. But unfortunately, the security forces are insufficient. They are not enough in number, which we could, a lot of requests was made by Warab State government so that supply of enough forces has to be deposited in the state. And I think this is not a failure of the state, it is a failure of the national government that he has failed to assign more forces in the area, which has got some community conflicts in the area there. Number two, national government was also requested last time to fund the Ministry of Peace Building in all the 10 states, but in Bains, there were no funding, so that inter-community violence are addressed in the state. And I think as the state government is lacking enough funds to run peace dialogue across the communities that are in conflict in the area. I want to return back this question that it is also a failure of national government to support the state in terms of empowering the Ministry of Peace Building to make sure that peace is maintained in areas where there are community violence and conflicts in the state. Number three, as Her Excellency the Governor of Western Barkazal has mentioned, that 400% is not being implemented, especially in Barkazal regions, in the 3 states. For example, in Warab State, as we speak now, some of the ministries have not received, and the committee are complaining that there are no money anymore. Yet some of the ministries were given some money, and others are remaining outside. In addition to that, the members of assembly, as we speak now, they have not received the money because of the ongoing complaints that the money has been increased all over the nationwide, but the money are not enough. As we speak for now, it has brought a lot of conflicts, and that's why you may have heard that there is ongoing tension between the executives and the state legislative assembly. It is connected toward this salary increment, which has brought a lot of conflicts in the state. Especially in my state, it has increased to be worse of 100% conflict ongoing there, which has increased also the ongoing insecurity in the area, whereby you may find that the boards in the system of government, they are not cooperating because of these inconveniences that has been created by 400% increment of the salary in this year. And we believe that this salary are for July. Imagine, these are, the failure is not on the states, it is from the national government. We don't have actually the money to support our activities in the whole state. And I believe it is not a challenge in Warab state, but it is all over the 10 states of South Sudan, including the 3 administrative areas of South Sudan. Finally, as it was clearly mentioned in resolution number 14 of last year, that the national government should fund the states so that peace has been supported fully. As you know, everything is connected to finance. If there is no finance, I think activities of the government will not continue to be functions. This one, it is connected, and I think we should have to blame the Ministry of Finance, who claims that he has increased the salary to 400% and there is no money. It is by figure, but it's not available.
Thank you.
I
think you're repeating yourself.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, the behind there. Yes, Hinak.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I'm German Charles Ojok, advisor to the Governor of Eastern Equatorial State on economic affairs. I have two issues here to share. One of them is the issue of the revenue. It was stipulated here that the revenue is ongoing well and everything is progressing well. In fact, we have a problem of revenue in Eastern Equatorial State. The Revenue Authority Act stipulated very clear what belongs to the state and what belongs to the nation, to the national. Unfortunately, Nimule is under the national government and is administered from Juba. Eastern Equatorial State has nothing to do with Nimule. I want to know why. Is Nimule not part and parcel of Eastern Equatorial State? Number two, I would like to add my voice to the issue of the delayment of the salary. After we waited for 6 months and the salary were brought, and yet the hungry people were screened. Why do we screen somebody who is hungry, who want to get something quickly and give food to the children? Our people are suffering. Especially Eastern Equatorial is very fast, Your Excellency, you know it very well. When we take Capueta East as example, the committee end up in Capueta and Narus without going to the Timor. They can't go to Kauto. They can't go to J. Those people working in those areas couldn't get their salary until today. When will they get their salary? Thank you very much.
Yes, Gidam. Yes, just near there.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, the first Vice President. I'm William Dakoy, the State Minister for Local Government Law Enforcement Agency, Unity State. My concern is only the issue of increment of salary for 400%. It is only in our state, the State General, the Ministry of General Education and Instruction has increased to 400%. But the other institutions, the State Legislative Assembly and the independent commissions and the county levels have not increased to 400%. The committee, the payment committee, are there in our state for 3 weeks now. But they are only giving money to the state Ministry of General Education. That is only the increment of 400%. That 400% in the states, Your Excellency, is not there. That's why people are there sitting without even receiving their salary for full 5 months. And if the government want to make reforms, that reformation should not be made by arrears of 5 months. You have to make reformation on the salary in time. Thank you very much.
Okay. I think the governors and the ministers have spoken. Is there any response this way? Ministry of Finance? Ministry of Finance has left. Security ministries on deployment, they also left. Okay. Yeah. Well, either as Michael McQuay.
Yeah, thank you, Your Excellency. I appreciate the presentations made, and I thank my colleagues. They respond to shed some light on some of the concerns at the time when the Minister of Finance will come and clarify the whole thing. Number one is the executive at all levels, up to the parliaments, at all levels. These are constitutional post holders, and we call them public servants. Public servant. This is what I wanted to clarify. For other concerns as to how much is going there, and those ends, these are issues that will be answered by the Minister of Finance when it comes. But that is what I wanted to clarify. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other addition? Well, if not, then let me make few statements and then we wind up for the day. One, for the Secretariat, I hope you have jotted down all these issues raised by the governors. Tomorrow, in our recap, they will be reflected. And then the concerned ministries, national ministries, will respond. Two, the statement of the President will also be reflected in our recaps, but I advise the Secretariat to distribute the statement of the President and to all who are here, so you photocopy it tonight. Maybe the governors also have issues to answer there. He has made very serious statements that need to be responded to if there are responses from the governors. Tomorrow will start as scheduled, but I hope you be on time so that we can cover parts of the topics that we should have been discussing today, or we should have covered today. We cover them tomorrow also. And next tomorrow when we come, we should start afresh. No carryover. from the other days that we have lost. So if the Secretariat has announcements, you can announce them before I close our session for today. I think you have one announcement. Can you announce it? So that the governors can prepare themselves for it.
Yes.
Please.
My announcement is honorables. In the morning, I think we have today our presentation came very late due to His Excellency busy schedule that he has in the office. As a result, we started very late. So, asking everybody, the honorable members and those who are presenting, to be ready tomorrow morning, at least by 9 o'clock, be here before the chair of the forum comes. I think the earlier the better. Number two, there's another, just hold on that, director. Okay, to remain here. Okay. Okay. Another announcement is state ministers and the secretaries should remain, please. Just one a very short time after the closing. Thank you.
Yes, with your permission, Your Excellency. UNDP has passed some invitations in the morning to all the governors, and they are requesting that tomorrow, after the program, they have invited all the governors plus the 3 administrative areas for a dinner. So only the governors, they said only the governors. That's one thing. From us, the Secretariat, I'm requesting also that
no chief administrators?
Only
the governors? No
the
chief
governors and
chief administrators. Okay.
Yes. The governors and chief administrators only. So, the addition from the Secretariat, I'm requesting that tomorrow, or today, if you know you have presentation, you would need to give me your work before time. You know, we print in a big number, like 400 to 500 copies. So to help us, I need to have your work early and the corrected one, because after we print, and then once you are on the podium already, we cannot make it again to produce what we expect to do. So I kindly request for those who are up Eastern Equatoria are already ready. The rest of the states should also do so that we are able to print for you tomorrow. This is from our side. And likewise for the presentation, if you have anything that you want to project, you also need to give it to us so that we incorporate in our computer, we project it during your presentation. Thank you, Excellency.
Thank you. Tomorrow we start at 8:30. That's the recap. And after the recap, it will be IGAD on efforts on resolving outstanding issues ahead of end of the transitional period. And then the rest will follow. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Hello, my wonderful learners. Welcome back to lesson 2 on our e-learning program. I hope you are still enjoying your lessons. And for some of you who have just joined the class, I am Anyuan Madut. I've started the discussion on the numerical concept. In particular, we started on indices. So we talked about what indices are. We talked about different expressions of different forms of numbers. And in this lesson, we are going to learn we need only to formulate. By the end of the lesson, you must be able to formulate the laws of indices. Of indices that can help us, okay? Times 5 power 3. Those are two different numbers, but they have the same base. This is 5, the other one is also 5. That means the bases are the same. The difference here is in the indices, because the other one has 4, then this one has 3. And we are multiplying these two different numbers. So here in this situation, how do we continue to go from here? If we have this number can be written in, let's put it in different brackets. There are two numbers, though we have to create two brackets. We take the first number in this bracket, then we bring this multiplication here, we put it there, we bring the other number in this other bracket. This number is going to be multiplied 4 times because the index here is 4. It is 5 times 5 times 5 times 5. Then this other number is going to be multiplied 3 times because the index is 3. So 5 times what? 5 times 5. So if we remove the brackets, for example, we are going to have 5 times 5 times 5 times 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then this time it is this. Then this 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 and then times 3. So you will see now this is the continuous repeated multiplication form of the same number, which is 3. So for us to express this repetitive multiplication number into an index, we will just write 1, 3 as we saw in the other lesson. We count the number of times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay? So you can put 11 on top of 3 index. Now, what have you learned about this 3 power 6 times 3 power 5 being equal to 3 power 11 in one form? Because this is in 2 forms. You have expressed it into one form. What have you learned about that? Again, when you look at the indices, you see the index of this 3 here is 11. And the indices of 2 other 3's that have been multiplied are 6 and 5, but when we add them, we will get 11. However, we did not take the 2 3's. We only took 1 3 as the base. As the result of expressing this repeated multiplication number into an index notation form. So here we will conclude by saying, if you have we say when you multiply two numbers of the same basis, like 3 and 3, okay? They are of the same basis, of the same basis, okay? What do? You add their powers, okay? So that is what you do. So in other words, if you had a number A, we are now talking about the law. We have now reached to formulate a law that will help us. So you will have a number A, and if that number A has a power of y, and you are multiplying it with another number A with power of x, we must always have one A as the base, and we can add the indices, which is y and x. That is the law which we will be using. If you want to confirm this law, whether it is correct, you can use your calculator to investigate. Let's use this example to investigate if this law is in line with what is expressed in the other left-hand side. We suppose that we have a number which is 2 raised to the power of 3 times 2 raised to the power of 2. That's the number, right? Yes. So this number, we have agreed that if we can take the solution, let's call this Roman numeral 2. No, Roman numeral 3. So this number, we can say the solution of this number is going to be, the solution is going to be 2 power 3, it is going to be 2 times, no, sorry, 3 times. Then the other 2 is going to be 2 times. Right? Yeah. So now, when you multiply this, what do you get? Use your calculator and give me the answer. You have now your 2 power 3 times 2 power 2, and you are getting this 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. What do you get? We use the calculator. Okay. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. 16 times 2 is 32. Yeah. So the answer that we can get here is 32. So this is 32. That is what we can get using direct multiplication. Or you can use the calculator instead of this direct multiplication. So if you use the law, using the law, and find out whether you are going to get using the law or the rule, the law or the rule, depending whichever word you want to take. You've been given 2 raised to the power of 3, and they tell you to multiply it with 2 raised to the power of 2. So our law here is saying you take 1, 2 as the base, then you can add the 2 indices. When you add 3 and 2, you get 5 as the index. So now you use the calculator. You put on your calculator. You can now calculate the value of this 2 raised to the power of 5. What do you get? You can use the calculator. You begin with 2. You can press 2. You enter 2 using this keyboard. You can press the 2. Okay? After pressing the 2, you can press the other symbol, this caret symbol. Have you seen that? It looks like an arrow. So this is what we call the caret symbol. This caret symbol, when you press it, it means the next number you are going to put is going to be an index number to the base that you have first pressed. So now, since I've already pressed 2, I can press that caret symbol. After pressing it, now I can press 5. And then I get my answer. My answer here is 35. The calculator is giving me 35. Okay? So this symbol, we call it caret. Okay? We call it caret. That is this symbol that you will see in your calculator. Maybe another thing that I can tell you before we proceed with another example is that the index notation, or the index or an exponent, is another arithmetic operation. There are 5 basic arithmetic operations or 5 basic mathematics operations. Mathematics operations. These 5 mathematical operations include this thing called plus, then this thing called minus, then there is this times, or multiplication, simply multiplication, times, then you have the division. Right? So plus sign here is this. That is the plus sign. You also know the minus sign is this. Then the times sign is this. And the division sign here is this horizontal line with the opposite 2 dots. Now, the 5th operation here is what we call the exponent, the one you have just learned. The exponent. So the exponent here, it is another basic mathematical operations. We do not have the symbol for this exponent, although it's not like the other 4 operations or 4 operators. These are 4 mathematical operators. Even this exponent or index, okay, is also a notation. So the only thing that can help you when you are dealing with index notation, whenever you are writing an index notation, that's why I was telling you in the previous lesson, do not write the sizes of the base and the index to be the same. So you writing the index smaller than the base is a symbol itself. You need to be very careful. You may even end up writing them in a wrong way, like these 2, and then writing these 2. This one will appear like it is of course 22. So the symbol that you can use always is when you can have the sizes of the base and the index to be different. The one of the index is small, and then the one of the base is big. That is the symbol that can help you to know that this number is an index. But the rest, they have their own symbols. They are fine. Okay? So whereas addition means you are adding another number. Minus means you are subtracting, something from a certain number. And then times means you are now multiplying. And then division here means you are now dividing. And then index or the exponents here means you are to repeat the number in a multiplication form. So this is the repeated multiplication. That's the meaning. So all of them, they have their meanings. And that's why we call them 5 basic mathematics operations. So please, that is the caret symbol that you can use to get this index notation using your calculator. You can use your calculator to get the index notation. Now let's look at the example 2. No, Roman numeral 3. on this part, and we call it a day. We are going to use the large powers, and we'll see whether the law can also help us when we are dealing with the large powers. Let's suppose that we have 2 raised to the power of 20 times 2 raised to the power of 10. Right? When you're using the law, everything is here is easy, or is easier. So here you will have your 2 raised to the power of 20 times 2 raised to the power of 10. You simply take 1, 2 as the base. Then you can add the indices, which is now 20 plus 10, you get 30. That one is fine. Even when you can use the calculator here, it is okay. You will say 2 raised to the power of 30, you get the answer. The answer here is too big. I even don't know if this space is going to be enough for this answer. The answer here is too big. It is 1, let me write it, 1, 0, 7, 3, 7, 4, 1, 8, 2, 4. So this is 1 billion, 73 millions, 741,824. So this number is too big. That is the number that you get from there. That is when you can use the rule. So let's try not to use the rule. Let's use this one directly. If we can go ahead with our normal calculation where we don't use the rule, I know the space here is not going to be enough. We cannot express it in multiplication format because this 2 is going to appear 20 times, then the other 2 will appear 10 times, and then we will have much more space. And that is one of the reasons why I was telling you, you can use the index notation to avoid wastage of the space and even the wastage of time. So I can just use the calculator directly from here. I say 2 raised to the power of 20 it is 1, 0, 4, 8, 5, 7, 6, then times another 2 raised to the power of 10. It is 1, 0, 2, 4. Now you are multiplying the 2 together again. You are multiplying these 2 together. Then let's see which number are we going to get. Times 1, 0, 4, 8, 5, 7, 6. Okay? I hope you are also using your own calculator. Okay? So the answer that I get here, it is 1, 0, 7, 3, 7, 4, 1, 8, 2, 4. It is the same number. So whatever size of the indices, when you use this rule for adding the powers, you will come up with the same number. So the rules actually can work for the large numbers and can also work for the small powers. So whichever power that you are dealing in with can help you to manipulate that number. So let's try using the fractional powers. I said this was the last, but let us test this when we are dealing with the fractional powers. Let's suppose that this is 2 raised to the power of 7 divided by 2, and then times 2 raised to the power of 5 divided by 2. These indices here are in fraction form. So we want to see whether the rules can also help us to solve that situation. But already we know that our rules, when we are given 2 numbers of the same base but of different indices, we can just take one base, can take 2 as 1, and we can add the indices. So we have 7 divided by 2 plus 5 divided by 2. So this is 7 out of 2 plus 5 out of 2. Okay? The answer that we get here, you can use the normal fraction. The LCM for this 2 and 2 is 2. 2 divided by 2 is 2. 2 times 7 is going to be 7 plus 5, the whole thing out of 2. And you get your answer as 2 raised to the power of 12 divided by 2. And this is 2 raised to the power of 6, because when you divide 12 by 2, you get 6. So now our number here is our number, which is 2 raised to the power of 7 divided by 2 times 2 raised to the power of 5 divided by 2. It is simplified to be 2 raised to the power of 6. So let's see what is the value of 2 raised to the power of 6 using our calculator. So we can say 2 raised to the power of 6. It is 64. The answer here is 64. That's the value. But if we take it directly, we use the calculator directly, what do we get? Like, we have 7 raised to the power of 2 times 2 raised to the power of 5 divided by 2. We can do it separately. We deal with the first one. The first one here is 2. First, open the bracket. You put 2 inside the bracket. You close that bracket. You press the caret sign. After pressing that sign, you say 7, you say divide by 2. Okay? You have 7 divided by 2. So the answer that we get here is in fraction form. But it's fine, it is okay. Say 2 raised to the power of, it is 11 point, you will get from the other side. What you will get from there is 2 raised to the power of 5 divided by 2. You are getting 5.6, 5, 6, 8, 5, 4, 2, 4, 9. Now you are multiplying again these two numbers, and we see what do we get. So we multiply this number by 11.3137085. So the answer that we get here is 64.0000000. How many zeros? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. So since this point and the rest of other zeros, this one is the same. The numbers are the same. The only thing that brings these 0, 0, 0 sums in there, we were less accurate. The calculator might have rounded off some of the digits. The more the number of digits after the decimal place, the better your accuracy. The same thing with this number. So the more the digits after the decimal place, the better your accuracy. Maybe the calculator did not bring all the digits after the decimal. And that results in 2 is small, very minor error. This error is too small. So this 64.0000000 up to 1 there, it is the same as this 64. So we can conclude that these laws can also work for fractional powers. Okay? This law can also work with the fractional powers. Now we are going to continue with our second law. We finished with that law. So the next law that we are going to continue, let's call this part B, is like like when you are given 3 raised to the power of 4 divided by 3 raised to the power of 2. Two things you can see. One, this is in the form of division, that is in fractional form, because of this line. That's one thing. Number two, the numerator here, in other words, the number on top has the base 3 and the power of 4. And then the denominator, the number at the bottom, is 3, and then it is raised to power of 2. Now, the bases here are the same. So what do we do when the bases are the same? We are going to look at this number as 3 raised to the power of 4, and we are told we have to divide by 3 raised to the power of 2. It's the same as saying this 3 should be multiplied 4 times. And then we divide by 3, which has been multiplied 2 times. Okay? So, I think your bottom is another 3. So this 3 can cancel with this 3. This other 3 cancel with this 3. And at the end of the day, you are left with only 2 3s. So in other words, your 3 raised to the power of 4 divided by 3 raised to the power of 2 is giving us only 2 raised to the power of 2. This is 2, this is 3 raised to the power of 2. Okay? So we get 3 raised to the power of 2. That is what we have seen. Now, what lesson are you going to learn from this? What observation have you seen? This power, when you compare it with the other 2 powers, what have you learned from there? Me, I've learned the fact that if I take this 2, I subtract it from 4 here, that is when I will get this 2. This is the observation that I've seen. And the second observation is that the 2 bases, I'm only taking one base, which is 3. Then I ignore 1. So now we have seen that powers can be subtracted. Okay? If you want to get one simplified form of the number, so you can subtract your powers when you are dividing the numbers of the same basis. So we will conclude by saying when you divide the numbers of the same base, you can subtract. You can subtract their powers. Yes. Let us use one more example to confirm whether it is true. Our example that we can use here, let's say this one was Roman numeral 1. Let's go to Roman numeral 2. This example here, let's say that this is 4 raised to the power of 5 divided by 4 raised to the power of 3. Okay? So with this, we can put it in a multiplication form. So we have 4 to the power of 5 divided by 4 raised to the power of 3 is equal to this 4 raised to the power of 5 is going to be multiplied 4 times. This is 4 times 4 times 4 times 4, then times 4, 5 times. Divided by this other 4, which is the denominator, raised to the power of 3, it is multiplied 3 times. Times 4 times 4. So 4 and 4 cancel. Then this 4 and the other 4 has to cancel. This 4 and the other 4 has to cancel. Please, the rule of cancelling only applies when you see there is multiplication signs in between. So you can cancel them. And the number which is at denominator. So that is when you can cancel them. But if this was addition or subtraction, you cannot cancel the numbers. Now you have only 4 and 4. So you have 4 power 2 remaining after cancelling the 3's 4's with the numbers, or with the other 3's 4's at the bottom. So the final answer that you can get here is that 4 raised to the power 5 divided by 4 raised to the power 3. The answer that you get is 4 raised to the power of 2. So what have you learned about, again, from this? We can see now, when we take 5 and we subtract 3 from it, the answer that will remain here is going to be 2. But the base here, we have taken only 1, regardless of these 2 other bases. So we will conclude by saying, when you are dividing, the numbers of the same bases, like this 4 and the other 4, they have the same base. You have to subtract their powers. So the power of the denominator number always remains positive, and then the power of the number at the bottom, or the denominator, you bring it, is the one that you can subtract away from the other power of the number on the numerator. So this is what we have learned. We will conclude by saying that